Many moms think that structure means strict rules, constant correcting of the children, and basically just a lack of freedom, rigidity. But if you've watched my videos up to this point, then you know that I'm a guru at busting bubbles, and that's what I'm going to do in today's video. Because honestly, structure should create freedom for you. Structure should complement your work and your family. So if it's kind of shaking your family dynamics and it's not helping you become a better mom, or not creating that freedom that you need to become a better mom, then it's something you need to revisit. Structure is supposed to work for you and not against you. So please don't go anywhere. I'm about to help you create a better way to inculcate structure into your family dynamics. Hello, my name is Coach Sandra, and I'm an intentional living coach helping moms live their best lives intentionally on a daily basis. I'm also a childcare innovation consultant that works with parents and the children to help the children and ensure that they are having the best learning experiences that they could possibly have through innovation, research, and based on experience of working with children for over 14 years. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. Welcome to the community of moms that are living their lives intentionally on a daily basis. Most of my work centers on something that I'm about to talk about, which is the emotional well-being of a home, because if structure is not in place, then the home suffers emotionally. But if structure is too rigid also, then it's kind of the same thing. So what is the balance? That's where we're driving at today. How we can inculcate structure into our homes to ensure that we have regulated homes, but ensure that the structures are not also too rigid for us to work with or for our children to thrive. Because at the end of the day, this is the reason why many children leave home and they suddenly feel free to explore, to relate with people, to do a lot of things that they have conceived in their hearts. Sometimes it's even out of rebellion, because how can a structure, a home structure, not be flexible and workable? You should be able to work with your structures. Even your children should be able to work with those structures. So it means that structures cannot be rigid. When they are rigid, that's where you see rebellious children. That's where you see children who are eager to move out of the house at even very young ages. They just want to escape because structures that are in place in that home are not working for them. Okay, so that's what we're about to talk about in today's video. Don't go anywhere. We are going to talk about how we can create better structures that are flexible but are still getting the job done. Not rigid, flexible. We can actually parent from flexibility, don't you think? I'm about to show you how, so don't go anywhere. So let's start from the problem. The problem usually is that many homes are on either side of the balance. They are either too structured, too rigid, or too flexible. Right? So you have structures where, everyone knows what to do and everyone must go by the books. If you don't go by the books, then you're considered to be disobedient or to have made a mistake, or, that's how rigid structures could be. Then on the other hand is the very flexible ones where you can do anything at any time. Nothing is expected, no predictability, no boundaries, all chaos, nothing, that makes sense. That's too flexible. So the real issue or the real solution to this problem is the middle, which is the balance. And that's what we're talking about. So what is a healthy balance between flexibility or too much flexibility and too much rigidity? And that balance is where we come in as intentional moms that are raising intentional children and are building intentional homes. That's the middle where we should be, in between too much flexibility and too much rigidity. Okay, so this is where our children thrive most, because now we're talking about healthy routines, healthy boundaries, and you know what to do at the right time. And even though things fall apart that are not planned, for instance, a child falls sick and so some structures are kind of shaky, or you have a meal plan for the month and something happens, maybe a particular food item is too expensive, becomes too expensive. At that point, you are able to shift, you're able to adjust. You see, all those flexibilities here and there, these are the balances that we should bring in, because empathy must come into building structures, or else we'll build so rigid structures in our homes, our children cannot thrive. Even we ourselves, we begin to become, we now become judgmental towards our children, towards ourselves, because when we realize that we don't meet up with these structures, we begin to think that we have failed. We begin to think that somebody else out there is better than us. But alas, you upped the standard so high that you forgot you were human. I would like to put it that way. So yes, that part of you that says, I know that structure is in place and things must be followed according to the books, to the letter. That part that says, I understand that you're human. We all are human. Okay, so let's reschedule, or let's restructure. Let's bring down the rigidity or tightness of the structure a little bit and then go back up. That's empathy, right? And that's the balance. Structures are meant to bring stability, fine, but how about times when life doesn't go as planned? Do you still go according to the books, thereby stressing yourself, stressing your home, your family? Is that what you really want as an intentional mom? For instance, a child falls sick and there is assignment. We know that assignment must be done immediately after school, as soon as you get home. But that child is super tired, sick, or not able to do the assignment at that time. How about that empathetic you coming up and saying something like, okay, I see you're tired, I see that you need to rest and all that, so let's do 15 minutes, okay? Take a rest for 15 minutes or maybe 30 minutes, and then you can do your assignment, or we can do it together. Let that empathetic you come out. And that's what brings in the little bit of flexibility, not the long yard one, but just a little bit, to ensure that these children can say that, my mom understands me. This structure is working for me. It's not over rigid to the extent that, we cannot walk around it. Because when it happens that way, these children are going to be rebellious, and that's not what we want for them. So as intentional moms, we must be careful and make sure that we weigh in on structures when they're becoming overwhelming for us and for our families. So what do you need to have a well-regulated, balanced structure that works for your home, for your family? You need clarity. You need to know what you want. You need to know what would work, or what would be very okay for your family, what would be very necessary, what would be very important, what would be top priority, what you want your family to hold on to and say, this is what we stand for, these are the principles that we work with. You need to know all those. Just be clear of the kind of motherhood you want to have or you want to practice, and then create structures that work for that kind of home. Right? So you want to be an intentional mom who can raise intentional children. Then what are the principles that my intentional children should work with or live with? What are the things that I should do as an intentional mom? It might not be easy, but what are the daily things that I must do so that these children can watch, can mirror, can be modeled to? What are these things? Then you want to have these things in one hand, but in the other hand, you want to also have flexibility. You want to have patience. You want to have, along with your clarity, you want to have wisdom. You want to have grace, because flexibility is grace and structure is wisdom. So you need these two to be able to run an intentional home. Okay, so when you ask yourself, what are all these things, just know them at the back of your head, or should that be at the front? Wherever, just have that somewhere. Okay, then create structures that work well for you and your family, and ensure that there's flexibility here and there. Because at the end of the day, I've worked with parents and I've seen their children, pastors' children, not being able to confide in their parents because their structures are too rigid. I'm a pastor's kid, so I cannot do this. I'm a pastor's kid, so I cannot do that. I cannot talk to so people, kind of people. I cannot relate with this kind of people, and they see that these things are not working for them. So they're looking for the slightest opportunity to be out of that house. And that's what you get, rebellion. So how about coming down to the level of those children and making them understand why they shouldn't relate or associate with such people, but not that they should totally ward off them, because then these people are in their classrooms, they encounter them every day. So if you tell them that you must not talk to a Muslim, or you must not talk to this person or that person or these kinds of people or those kinds of people, then you're too rigid, and that will not work. So let's always put flexibility into our structures, our daily structures for our homes. And I'm sure that with all this, you'll be able to create a balance in between being too flexible and being too structured, such that your children can thrive and you also can thrive, and your home can be built on intentional foundations. Okay, I know you've been blessed by today's video. Please feel free to check the links in the description. There are so many links that I'm going to be leaving there, to old videos, to one-on-one consultations with me, and to even the intentional mom community that's on WhatsApp. There we share resources, affirmations, quotes, prayers, and a whole lot to help us on our intentional mom journey. And I know you want to be a part of that, so please feel free to check the description for that link. Also, feel free to subscribe if you haven't. Please click the like button, share, and leave a beautiful comment for me, and I'll be sure to get back to you. On this note, please, I want to give you a task. Okay, go through your structures, go through your routines, go through your principles, what you stand for, and check out those things that are stressing you, stressing your family, stressing your children, and not helping them to be intentional. Okay, introduce flexibility. Just one thing, start with one thing that's not working. You've noticed that this thing is really stressing my children, it's not working, or it's really stressing me, it's not working. Okay, and then introduce empathy, introduce your clarity. Just be clear about what you want. Introduce all these things introduce grace into your structures, and you'll see them working out for you and working out for your home. And I would love to hear from you, what is that one thing that you're going to be working on this week? Okay, until I see you in the next video, do have a lovely week. Bye.